Netanyahu is out of the blue, a deviation from the original Zionist ideas, or is it a natural consequence of the Zionism as thought by Theodor Herzl and other people?
Um, First of all, I don't think it has much to do with Netanyahu. This obsession and fixation on Netanyahu is designed to distract attention from the fact that there is a broad consensus across the political spectrum and a broad consensus across Israeli Jewish society supporting Netanyahu's principal objectives. The principal objective of Mr. Netanyahu is to once and for all solve the Gaza question and also, if possible, the West Bank question and the regional questions. They've solved to their satisfaction the Hezbollah question, they've solved the Lebanon question, and now they still want to solve the Iran question. On those issues, there's no difference at all between Netanyahu and the rest of the Israeli political spectrum or the rest of Israeli society. Mr. Netanyahu is an obnoxious, self righteous Jewish supremacist. In other words, he is mirror, the perfect mirror of Israeli society. The Israelis are obnoxious, self righteous, Jewish supremacists by and large. There are exceptions, honorable exceptions for sure. But the truth of the matter is, there were many more, percentage wise, there were many more honorable German exceptions to the Nazis than there are Jewish exceptions to uh, this nation of obnoxious, self righteous Jewish supremacists. And now we have to add genocidal murderers. Very few exceptions. Once in a while, the liberal newspaper Haaretz tries to show there's 4, 5, maybe 6 dissenters. Well, folks, if the best you can come up with is 6, let me advise you not to even bring up the subject. Now, on secondary issues, whether to prioritize bringing home the hostages or prioritize liquidating the Gaza question, yes, there are significant differences. I have no doubt about it. But it's just a distraction in order to avoid looking at how ugly that place has become. It's a distraction to focus on Mr. Netanyahu as if his main objectives are not shared by the breadth of the political spectrum and the breadth of the Israeli Jewish society. They're 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 uh, they're all on the same page. They've become a monster state, unfortunately.
You,
At the end of the day, the U.S. lost an astonishing 700,000 uh, persons, 700,000 to bring an end to slavery. Now, You could say motives were mixed. Some people fought in order to preserve the Union, and a large number didn't want to fight. There were what were called the draft riots. But at the end of the day, it was a monumental sacrifice. 700,000 Americans died in the course of the Civil War, a large number of them dying in order to effectively end slavery. I couldn't imagine 6 Israelis who would die to end who would willingly give up their lives to end the extermination of the Palestinians. I'm serious. I mean, even Haaretz, their newspaper, says it had an editorial last week. It was very frank. It said nobody cares. Nobody cares in Israel that all of these people are being murdered, starved to death. Nobody cares. I wouldn't say that's accurate. I think a large number of them relish it. They're gleeful. They're very happy. That's not my speculation. They post videos showing how gleeful they are.
He once supported the two-state solution, but now, as I could read some weeks ago, you did not consider it no longer viable.
No,
When do you?
I never said any such thing. I think too much. There's so much death and so much destruction, and I can understand that people feel completely powerless, impotent at this point. You wonder what can be done. Yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I skipped the demonstration because it just didn't feel like it would do anything. But the answer is not to squander time on graduate school seminars on 1 or 2 states. It has no relevance now. 1 or 2 states where? Is there anybody who believes that Israel at this point is going to remove the settlers from the West Bank? A large percentage of whom would have to leave in order to make possible a viable Palestinian state? Does anybody believe that? Is there a Palestinian leadership that represents Palestinians at this point? There's not the most basic constituents of 1 state, 2 states, 10 states, or no states. It's a completely irrelevant question. It's totally beside the point. People are bored, so they bring up this question again of 1 state, 2 states. There's a genocide going on.
But what's the solution?
There is none right now. Sometimes there aren't solutions. Right now, everybody should be giving their all to trying to end the genocide. Now, what form that will take, I can't tell you. I could say, obviously, that the methods used thus far have not succeeded. What will it take? I don't know. I wish people would think of more militant action, and I would certainly be among those. And I think there would be many who would be willing to take more aggressive steps than simply demonstrating in the streets. I believe people are ready, but there hasn't been a leadership that's proposed something more militant.